in the next 50 years, there will be not be some kind of a VAT tax. I don't know, we don't like tax here, so I don't know that. But or a carbon tax. I think it would be foolish. So that's why, I mean, some of my good friends and customers, CEO of utilities, okay, they like shale gas like everybody for the short term, but are still thinking long term. And they want to keep nuclear energy. And I think one motto in nuclear energy is very simple. It's like when you invest for a 401k. 401k is the retirement system in the US. Okay? When you invest for your retirement, I was told, my wife is a professor of finance, that the key word is diversification. Diversification. So you need to have bonds, you need to have you have to some kind of stock and others, because you don't know what will happen when you retire. For any kind of energy policy, this is the same term, diversification. You don't want to put your eggs in one's basket, like my grandmother was saying. So that means that you have a little bit of nuclear, a little bit of gas, a little bit of renewables. You keep coal, of course. I mean, coal is very abundant here. Of course you need to keep coal. But you don't want to say we are going to abandon, for example, coal. Well, nobody's going to say that we are phasing out coal. It will be foolish in the US. Same thing for nuclear. So you will see that you will be surprised that some of my good friends, they are willing to invest a little bit more today, because financing a nuclear plant is expensive, in order to hedge their bets.
If I could just follow up. Is it possible, and again, knowing that this is not directly your project, that there might be some sort of consortium of investors along with utilities to sort of spread the risk of a nuclear plant? Is that an option that's being looked at?
I don't know if it's being looked at, again, because it's not my project. It's really done by ADF, but it's obviously it's an option, of course.
One more question on the reprocessing. You mentioned earlier that the central interim facility would create NIMBY issues. And I would guess that some members of that Blue Ribbon Commission would say this would also be profitable, and there would be a regional competition for this. Why is the reprocessing center any different from the central facility?
We have two differences. Because first, the economics are absolutely very different in terms of order of magnitudes. So it makes a big difference. I would say there is a difference of 1 to 10 between the two. And secondly, it's that when you do a recycling center, you're bringing part of the solution. You're moving the fuel. You're taking care of the fuel. Actually, you're making the fuel less dangerous. You're creating a new, very stable final waste form in petrified waste. So it's very different. Interim storage, it's kicking the can down the road. I'm not a member of Congress, so what I can tell you, what I can tell you is that I can tell you that there is a great, there is a, and it's very interesting actually. There is more and more a support in Congress from both sides of the aisle for such an idea. Yeah. And also, I mean, it brings a lot of jobs. We're talking about tens and tens of thousands of jobs. I mean, I was shocked last week to learn that right now, I mean, actually the unemployment rate in the U.S. will go up again. It's a tragedy for this country. I mean, I go around the U.S. a lot. We have 40 locations around the U.S. and when I go to some states, actually, I mean, you see half of the small businesses closed, shut down. Downtown, I mean, downtown are almost desert now. So we need to find huge projects. That's what happened in the 30s when we built the Hoover Dam. I mean, we need a new Hoover Dam, and maybe that's what I've said before. Maybe a recycling center is our new Hoover Dam. I don't know. We shouldn't be afraid of big projects. We lost that actually. Yes.
Jeff Beatty with the Energy Daily. You talked about support in Congress both for nuclear generally and reprocessing, and that it's stayed strong after Fukushima.
Yep.
what do you need from them specifically? Conversion of the use of the waste fund you're sort of hinting at for reprocessing maybe, or anything else?
No, what I said is that, yeah, I mean, if there is that's what the question you ask about a federal corporation, I mean, I'm not an expert, huh, but it needs to be an act of Congress, actually, so it has to be done by Congress. If there is a creation of a federal corp to take care of the solution for used fuel, it needs to be acted upon by Congress.
Anything else?
At this stage, no. I mean, their blessing, encouragement, and promise that they will not change for the next 30 years in terms of policy. Promise. I'm not asking for in writing, just a promise.
In the back there?
Yes.
Hi, Matthew Trotter, Cronkite News again. With a reprocessing center, what does that make our need for a central disposal center like Yucca Mountain that keeps falling through?
Oh, I think it changed the equation very much. I mean, we still need, at the end of the day, like, because you have final, again, 4% of the waste is still final waste. So it's in vitrified form. It needs to, at one point, to go to a repository. But first, it delays the decision 50 years. We don't have to continue to fight on Yucca Mountain or not. Two, because the final waste is much more stable. Again, this is a block of lava that cannot leak for 1,000,000 years. So you have a lot of alternatives, actually, to Yucca around the US. So it changed, actually, the equation very much. And the discussion. So we moved the discussion from a political discussion to a real good technical discussion.
Over here on the side.
Hannah Northey from Greenwire. Can you just explain, is it a once-through reprocessing unit or is it a recycling and reprocessing unit? Can you describe to us what would happen at the plant with the used spent fuel?
You talk about what happened in France, or?
No, what would happen at this facility that you're in discussions?
Yeah,
I just
so
want to make sure I understand.
The facility, so what you will take, the facility will receive the one we have designed. This is not the only one. We'll receive, but it's based on what we've done in Europe. We'll receive 2,000 tons, around it's 2,500, but it could be 800. I mean, you have several modules, but the first will, but the entire facility 2,500, but it's 3 modules of 800. So let's say that, so you will get the fuel, you will receive the fuel will be dissolved, and the final waste, the 4%, is what we call petrified into a glass form. So it can be, again, safely stored for 1,000,000 years. And the 96% actually is recombined, actually 1% is plutonium. The 96% makes what we call recycled uranium and MOX, which is a new type of fuel based on plutonium, actually. And so so you get used fuel in and new fuel out. Recycled uranium fuel, and that we can use, and also MOX. Does it answer your question?
Yes.
It's very difficult to say that in 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. But there was also an MIT study that I believe that we're referencing here that AREVA sponsored, and that had talked about a once-through facility. And I'm not sure if there's a difference.
They talk about the once-through policy, which is the policy. Actually, you have 2 types of policy. You have a closed cycle, or what they call once-through or open cycle, but I prefer once-through. Once-through is what we do right now, which is interim storage, until we find a solution like Yucca, where we can store the fuel as it is forever.
Okay.
It's called a one-through.
And so this would delay the decision on Yucca or permanent storage for 50 years, you said?
At least.
Okay. Thank you.
We have time for one more question. Does anyone have a zinger for Jacques before he goes? Or is it left to me? Well, okay. Looking at, again, the Fukushima plant, you said that it was basically like the 3 Mile Island and that you've had melted fuel.
Yep.
But it seems it's a little different from 3 Mile Island in that it looks like the containment perhaps has some problems at some of the reactors. And I'm wondering, as you look at the decommissioning and cleanup, is there going to be new technology needed for this cleanup, some advances in robotics? I mean, again, at 3 Mile Island, everything was contained in the containment. I think pretty clearly in this accident, it's not. So how much more difficult is it going to be?
I think it's very difficult to predict. We'll know for sure in a few months when again we have access to the reactors. We can the key here is to decontaminate. It's to get the water out, basically, so we can safely approach and understand and make some assessments. But I think we have tons of robotics here in the U.S. and in Europe. I don't see, even if the containment is breached, I don't see any kind of adding difficulties. I mean, it will be tough anyway. Huh? But I think the key is to really assess what happened, but the robotics exist. They really exist.
Okay, well, we're out of time. I'd like to thank you all for coming, and I'd like to thank our guest, Jacques.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.
Thank you.